one of the books in my digital library, so on my Kindle and I listen on Audible, is a book called Payoff by Dan Ariely. And it's a book about the logic that shapes what motivates people, what shapes motivation. And Dan Ariely is one of the brightest minds in behavioral psychology out there, and one of the most well-known people and I respect everything he's done. I've read a lot of his articles, many of his books, and I'm always intrigued by the work that Dan and his team do. And while reading this book, I looked back at some of the articles that I had saved in my Instapaper and looked at what were some of the topics. I just want to kind of refresh some of the things that I looked at. And 3 stories stood out to me from this one article that I think relates to what I want to talk about today, which is very simple. The advisor is never going away. It's very simple what we're talking about. The advisor is never, ever going away. And Dan Ariely, I think, has a lot of points, and I'll continue to talk on them. But I think that there's really 3 main points that stood out, 3 studies that he did. And the first is about how humans are irrational, right? And this concept of relative thinking. So the study was that they looked at, they talked about the idea that as a human, if we were to go to a store, let's call it a Walgreens, and we see a pen, and it's going to cost us $25, and we really want it, what we tend to do is that we would look on our phone and see if that pen is in any other stores, and maybe the price is less. And maybe we find that there's another store 15 minutes away that has it for $7 less. We would go and drive 15 minutes to save the $7 on that pen. But if we were now in a Brooks Brothers or a Joseph A. Bank or whatever it may be, buying a suit, and the suit was $400, we don't tend, even if there's a store down the street, maybe a Men's Warehouse, that has the same suit for $7 less, we're not going to go drive 15 minutes to save $7 on the suit. But the thing is that's what shows your irrationality. We're saving the same dollar amount on each of those, but we're able to we want to take the action of driving 15 minutes for one of them as opposed to the other, which shows that we are irrational. And it comes naturally to all of us. It's relative thinking, right? The $7 value on 25 is a higher percentage, but we never really think in percentages in any other life. It's a relative nature. But then with the suit, it's still $7. $7, no matter whether we save it on $25 or we save it on $400, is $7. Which shows your irrationality. So I thought that was really interesting. We'll dig into that in a second here, and I think it leads to a lot of humans' behaviors and how we deal with our financial situation, and how we deal with our investing and financial planning. The next study is about humans and focusing more on what we have than what we could have, and the focus of us making decisions based on what we might lose as opposed to what we might gain, right? The fear of loss, or the impact of a loss, tends to always be so much greater than the joy and the benefit of a gain. And Ariely and Carmen conducted an experiment on Duke students, so the Dukies, and it's all about basketball, right? These kids sleep outside for basketball tickets and waiting to try to buy them for the big game in Cameron Indoor, and they're the Cameron Crazies, I think is what they're called. So even those that who sleep out are still subjected to a lottery at the end. So you sleep out and you're still in a lottery. You just may get a better position in the lottery. Some students get tickets and some don't, right? We all know that. The students who don't get tickets told Ariely that they'd be willing to pay up to $170 for tickets. The students who did get tickets told Ariely that they wouldn't accept anything less than $2,400 for the tickets. The gap between the two is so large. And there are 3 fundamental quirks here on human nature, right? We fall in love with what we already have. We focus on what we might lose rather than what we might gain. And we assume that other people will see the transaction from the same perspective as we do, right? If we're looking to buy the tickets and we're willing to pay $170, we're like, they should see that that's a fair price. The price of the ticket's $35. I'm willing to pay, 5 times that for the ticket. Like, they should see it that way. And then when they tell you that it's $2,400 that they want, you're like, whoa, that's so crazy. And I see these same concepts, right? The idea of what we focus on, what we might lose, we fall in love with what we already have, and just the difference in investing, right? We like to hold on to our gainers, right? We don't want to sell things that are profiting because it's doing too good. Why will it ever fall, right? But we would rather sell things that have lost in value. Let's get rid of that stock that's down 10% or down $2,000. Let's just get rid of it. It's a dog, right? Even though it may be able to come back, it may have better upside than the one that's gaining. We fall in love with what we have and the gains that we have and are unwilling to part ways with that. And we'd rather sell those things that aren't doing well because of the fear of additional losses. This one's lost, and so it's going to continue to lose, right? The fear of losses and the overexuberance of gains, which goes just against traditional investing theory, right? We want to buy low and sell high, which means that you have to buy things that haven't done well and you sell things that have done well. But in reality, people they want to buy things that have done well and sell things that haven't. It's just a flip-flop. It shows just human nature, irrationality that we have. And the third is about the power of price. And this goes to my underline of why advisors should continue to be around and continue to charge a fee that they are, right? This is about the power of price and how the price of something drives the perceived impact and value of that product or service. Ariely, Waber, Shiv, and Carmen made up a fake painkiller called Validone RX. And they had an attractive woman with in a business suit with a faint Russian accent. And she told subjects in the study that 92% of patients receiving VR, or Validone RX, reported significant pain relief in 10 minutes. And it lasted up to 8 hours. When told that drug would cost $2.50 per dose, nearly all of the subjects reported pain relief. Okay, that's impressive. That's great. When told, though, that the drug cost 10 cents per dose, only half of the subjects reported pain relief. The more pain a person experienced, the more pronounced the effect was. And there's a similar study done at the University of Iowa showed that students who paid list price for cold medications reported better medical outcomes than those who bought discount but clinically identical drugs. So what does this say? This is why advisors are not only valuable because of everything from a psychological and investment mentality and an economic understanding and hand-holding and servicing, but the perception of value is seen in their fee, and advisors that are lowering their fee are hurting themselves more than helping themselves. Realize your value every single day is the good that you do to navigate families through their financial journey and helping them overcome psychological challenges that are irrational that we've just shown time and time again. So you got to commit to your value, find ways to enhance your value, and clients will be willing to pay for it. They will see the value in the fee, not in what you have to say. They will see value there. They put a higher value on that. Yes, you have to provide, you have to provide the services. You have to execute. You have to follow through on what you're going to say, of course. But if you do all that, you don't have to lower your fee just because there's competition in the marketplace. Fee lowered shows a lower sense of value that they should be getting.